Now, this doesn't mean wake up at 5:30 a.m. because oftentimes I'm waking up at like 9, 10 a.m. So these aren't those types of habits. Rather, these are habits that I've learned mostly 99% from books that I've implemented and that I've already seen have had a drastic impact on my life. I've seen the difference, and that's why I truly think if they worked for me, they can work for you. Number one, begin with the end in mind. So what I mean by this, and I've said it many times in terms of like creating business strategy and working towards your goals, starting from the end and then working up. So basically this means, let's say you want to reach 10 clients or generate $10,000 a month. You work backwards to decide and to determine, what does this actually mean for me? If I'm landing 10 clients a month, how many am I reaching out to? How many am I speaking to per week, per day? Am I hiring people that's helping me out? If I'm generating $10,000 a month and I'm selling something for $5, is that even realistic? Like, am I actually selling to 2,000 people? Can I get a hold of 2,000 people? Am I running ads? What am I doing? And the same exact theory applies to anything in life. Like, if you are trying to drop a certain amount of weight, is it realistic when you're dividing it by weeks, by days, by the number of times that you're hitting the gym? Number two is to take care of the first things first. What's one thing you could do regularly that you're currently not doing that you know if you implemented this one thing, your life would be in a very different spot? So let's use the same example from before. If you're wanting to drop X amount of weight, if you're wanting your body to look a certain way, if you're wanting to be able to lift a certain amount of weight for years, yet you've never been able to because you kind of always put like the gym thing last, well, this is the time, this is the moment to switch those things around. Know exactly what's that one thing that you know will make your life different. What's that one thing that you've always been like, I really want it, but yeah, I'm not really trying that hard for it. Finding a partner, getting more money, moving to a different place, trying out a new hobby. The list goes on and on and on. Only you know exactly what that one thing is. And most of the time, this thing is so small that you can literally put it into your calendar daily, maybe 3 times a week, and you'll see a huge difference. But it's like that switch that needs to go off in your mind, like, this is it. Like, it's now or never. I'm going to show up, because the reality is no one else can do it for you. And don't worry, of course, I'm going to explain later on exactly how you're going to implement all 7 of these habits. But for now, let's move on to number 3, and that is the habit of being quick to find solutions. I know it sounds pretty simple, but how often do we actually do it? We're always going to be faced with problems, big or small, getting to a certain level, getting to a certain status. That doesn't stop the problems from coming. But when we change our narrative and our response mechanism to problems, that creates a whole new outlook, and it basically provides like that mosquito repellent for problems to literally not be able to sting us. I think this is probably one of the habits that I've worked the most on, and I've seen the drastic change, because how often are we faced with a problem and then we just go and we say it to one person, then we say it to another, and it's just kind of like that thing of like, haha, like not like laughing at the problem, but it's like that thing that everyone can relate to, and it's like, oh gosh, like you're going through this, oh no, she's going through this. Like, instead of enlarging the problem, which sometimes isn't even something so big, and spreading it, like, let's be super quick to tackle that monster down and find solutions. So there's actually a really funny story, and this obviously isn't a big problem. This is something so minimal that happened to me, but it really opened my eyes to, wow, I've been implementing this habit so much that even with the tiniest thing, like, I saw the difference. So I had to leave a house key for my dad, yet we weren't going to see each other. Like, I was going to leave 2 days before, and then he was going to get there, and I had nowhere to leave it. So I remember, like, for days, it was like 3 days until I got the solution. And I was thinking, I remember like, no, like, I can't just leave it. I thought like I'll leave it in the mailbox. Then I was like, no, he needs the key for the mailbox. I'll leave it with my neighbors, but my neighbors won't be home at that time. Like, where could I possibly leave this key? And this key wasn't just like the smallest key, like it was a big key. So I can't just like slide it anywhere. And I remember I would wake up and I'd like think of solutions. No, that won't work. Like, my friend, that won't work. Like, here, that won't work. There, that won't work. And then on the 3rd day, just because my mind had already been like working up solutions, like, no, coming up with solutions and crossing out the ones that don't work and coming up with new ones. On the 3rd day, I was like, oh, hold on. there's this little storage that we have that he could easily get into because he has that key and I could leave that there. And it was just like, duh, like how did I not think of it? Even though it was so minimal, like the solution was right there, but it wasn't top of mind. Oftentimes that's what happens with problems that we face. The solution won't always be top of mind. The problems won't always be that minimal, like where am I going to leave the key? But I can assure you that if you set up your mind to always just be tackling the problem down with solutions, instead of like being hit by the problem and just like facing it head first, it becomes so much easier to handle. And you kind of develop this like guard against you where it's like throw problems. Like I've got solutions on solutions. And if this one doesn't work, I'm going to come up with 1,000 more solutions and one will work. And I think the reason why I've gotten good at getting to the solutions and making sure that my brain is like, oh, this process is super cool, let me do it again, is because of this following habit. Habit number 4, and it's the habit of rewarding yourself. I don't know about you guys, but I love a little reward. If I'm doing something great, I want to reward. If we're having a great month, like I want to celebrate that. And it's all about celebrating the things big and small, because day by day, you're most likely doing a ton of little small victories that you don't even notice and that you don't even celebrate. And it's those little acts that just trigger your brain of, hey, you found that solution, like you got to work literally 3 days of like bouncing solutions until you found the right one. Let's do something that you like. So whether for me, that's taking myself out to ice cream, going to the movies, which I love. It's the little things. It doesn't have to be something huge, but it's a great way for your mind to be like, hey, we like that reward. Let's do it again and again. I know it sounds kind of like training animals, but us humans, we're not that different. And it works so well. It's also part of the reason why inside the book Profit First, which I super duper recommend to any business owner, they explain how when you're taking profit, 50% goes into play money, not money that goes back to the business, not money that goes for bills, for debts, for whatever. It's literally play money, money that you celebrate with, whether it's $1, 1,000, 10,000, or $1 million. And now that we're already talking about Profit First, we can jump into habit number 5, which is to create buckets for your money. I think this habit has drastically changed my finances and impacted my life, because the better that you manage money, the better that other things in life flow. Like everyone knows, it's been proven by statistics that money struggles, challenges, and disagreements are often the cause for fights, for relationship breakups, for tons of things that can be avoided just by learning how to manage it. So this concept basically stems from the book Profit First, which I just mentioned, which yes, it's geared towards business owners, but implementing the process works for business and personal. I've done it myself and I've seen the drastic change. So basically implementing different buckets for money. If you think about it, we've been conditioned to have our money in one bank account for everything. Savings, vacation money, bills, debt, things that we want to buy, like one bank account. How does that make sense? Like, of course it's going to end up just being a whole mess and wild to handle. Think about if you broke it down literally into buckets, which in the past people used in envelopes. Literally, they would separate the cash, put it into envelopes, and right now we can do it into different bank accounts. You can have your bank account for savings, for vacation, for retirement, for your bills, for your purses that you want to purchase, like different things. And that way, when you go, you look at your bank account, you know exactly what you have for what thing. It's no longer, oh, I want that purse, let me take it out of my savings. No, you have in the purse fund what you have for your purses. And now another similar topic that people just kind of like to avoid, the money and the exercise. Yeah, I don't know if that's what you guessed, but it's exercise. That's habit number 6. And maybe you might be a person that already works out frequently. Maybe you're somebody that's like, no, once a week, or somebody that no, never, ever. And that's okay. This habit isn't coming from the perspective of you need to look a certain way, you need to do a certain thing. No, it's literally because of the fact that day by day we're aging. When you get to 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, what do you want to be able to do? Can you bend down to pick up your phone that just fell? Can you run and chase your grandkids? Can you go up the stairs? Can you travel and carry your own luggage, put it up on the plane? I don't know about you guys, but I definitely want to be able to do that. I want to be able to keep traveling as I am right now. And that means working today and preparing my body for what it will be in the future. I read the book Outlive and it literally changed my perspective on how we move, the workouts we get in, how we're preparing and basically like stabilizing our bodies for the future. They recommend this, like not a workout strategy, but this concept of a 90-minute per week game plan per week. That's probably like 13, 14 minutes per day. We can all do that. And so it's basically divided into 3 different types of trainings that you need to do: Zone 2 training, VO2 max training, and strength training. And if you do these throughout the week, you're most likely going to be able to age like fine wine. And if you just need like that extra motivation, I highly recommend the book Can't Hurt Me. I'm normally like, I've read so many motivational books that it's like, again, like it's a bit of like the same thing over and over again, but this book was not that. It was actually so good. And by the time you finish it, like you're motivated. I can assure you of that. And with that, we're on habit number 7. And this one, you're gonna hate it or you're gonna love it, but you gotta do it. And it's to be able to go 2 hours without your phone. You might be hearing this and at first you might be like, oh, that's super easy. It's not. Or you might be hearing this and you might be thinking, I could never. And if that's you, because that was me when I first started hearing this, I was like, I could never. I started from doing it 1 time per month to 1 time per week to ultimately, I'm still trying to 1 time per day. Like having my phone away and not focusing on it, like literally putting it away, do not disturb, and not having it around me. And it's not the act of not having the phone on you, it's the fact that we can't focus. Any little second that we have of free time, our subconscious mind is already like fidgeting, scrolling, and it's a habit that we're not conscious of. Most of the time, we're not even conscious. We can open up that Instagram app without even realizing like where it is. Have you ever moved your app button around and then realize like you're doing it without even realizing it? And I don't know about you guys, but that's wild. So it's a habit that allows you to retrain your mind to focus, to be able to open up a book without getting distracted, to be able to have conversations without picking up your phone. That focus we've had, yet we're kind of letting it slip away. So there's 7 habits and you might be thinking that sounds great, but how am I actually going to do it? Well, I'm going to tell you because I've literally been doing them. And like I told you, I've seen drastic changes. So for me, what has helped me is incorporating the different strategies found inside Atomic Habits to basically do these and create systems around it versus treating them as goals. And it's pretty easy. Let me explain. So for example, there's some that you can leave implemented once in your life and you're done with them. Like it's going to keep working. Under the setting of 1 time, we have the bucket system, which you could do in envelopes. I really don't recommend that. I just recommend going and creating different bank accounts under your same bank. You can have multiple bank accounts and just dividing it into the things that you're normally spending on. And this doesn't mean you need to create like a bank account for like going out to coffee shops and then going out for fun. No. Just have like your play money, have your savings money, have your investing money, have your like day-to-day living money. Basics. I don't think you need to have more than 4 to 5. You also have the capability to implement habit number 6, which is working out. I know it's not a one-time thing, but it is a one-time thing to make the time and space for it. If you do that today and you set it up in your calendar, at least you know the excuse of I don't have time is no longer valid. The actual getting there and the discipline and the motivation, that is another thing, which for that you can find a lot of strategies inside the book Atomic Habits. And for the third one, under setting up 1 time, again, habit number 7 is the no phone for 2 hours. This is another big one that you can also put into your calendar so you can visually see and know, hey, like if I don't have calls scheduled, if I don't have meetings scheduled, if I don't have things scheduled maybe on a Monday or on a Friday afternoon where you know things are a bit slower, there's no excuse as to why you shouldn't be able to do this. For me, what I like doing is doing it Sunday like evening, nightish, and it's a great thing where I'm just literally like disconnected. I'll normally pull out a book, I'll go watch the sunset, I'll be out in nature, and it's so nice. Now we're going to divide the other habits into monthly basis and then things that you'll do on a daily. Under the monthly category, we have habit number 1 and habit number 4. Habit number 1, begin with the end in mind, and habit number 4, reward yourself. So these are things that normally I personally like to do them monthly, which is why that's how I recommend it. So beginning with the end in mind, monthly when you're setting up your goals, don't just set a random number, but work from the back to get to where you actually want to be and divide it into your monthly goal, get smaller into weekly to daily, even break it up into hourly, and it literally allows you to reach your goal, and you'll notice a big difference once you do it. And same thing, pair that with habit number 4 and make that your time to analyze and see, hey, what have I done? Like, what are the small victories that I haven't noticed that I can go reward myself for? And then on the daily, it's habit number 2 to do the first things first, and habit number 3, be quick to find solutions. These are things that on a daily you need to keep top of mind. If on a daily you start with the first things first, most of the time the other 7 habits that we mentioned will fall into place. And if you're quick to problem solve, well, life just gets a lot easier. Is there another habit that you think belongs on this list? Let me know in the comments down below. And as always, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you right back here on this same exact channel next week.